Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I hope you're having a lovely evening. As you may have heard, my name is Ethan Sakala, and I'll be talking about imagination, humanity's greatest currency, with a focus on production from a Zambian perspective. Allow me to start you off with a question. Have you ever built a car out of some wires and some sticks? I'm guessing most of you probably have, but if you haven't, growing up in Zambia, you've probably seen one. You know, it's pretty simple to make. You just need a few sticks, you need some old wire, some bottle caps, and boom, you have a car rolling around your yard. But I want you to pause for a moment and think about that. What you just created isn't just a toy. That toy you just created is a visual representation of why I think imagination is humanity's greatest currency. It's just you and your mind. You're not using AI, ChatGPT, none of those. Just you, your mind, your hands. And that is the reason why I feel like imagination will forever be a greater currency than euros, dollars, gold, and silver. I'm 12 years old and I've grown up in Zambia my whole life. And anything I've realized about Zambia is power cuts as regular as the sun sets. We're in a lot of water scarcity right now, and we lack educational resources like books. But as all of these stuff have weighed us down, in these times of scarcity and darkness, we haven't given up as a country. What it's done for us is, it's woken us up. It's taught us how to dream again. It's taught us to believe and imagine. The reason I'm here today sharing this topic with you is because I believe imagination and creativity are what define us. It's not the status we have, it's not who we are currently, but it's what we imagine. Imagination is what we can be in the future, what we can do, our future impact. I feel like imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Because imagination tells us what we can be. Knowledge is us learning about what already happened in the past. I've seen a lot of stories where imagination takes place in Zambia. I visited some rural areas and I was able to see that some farmers were using old bicycle parts, car batteries, and any scrap material they could use to make irrigation systems for their farms. And that happens in our everyday lives, but we don't appreciate it as genius. We just see it as them surviving, while it's them putting their imagination to work. There's a lot of countries in Africa like Rwanda, Ghana, Nigeria that have shown us what it's like they've shown us what it's like to put imagination and action together. As we can see, they're thriving better than most third world countries because they're doing what other countries are failing to do. They're putting imagination and action together. There was this story of a young girl named Tandy. She was based in Ndola and she needed textbooks for school. But she didn't have any money for those. Instead, she had a small cracked smartphone. And what she did was teach herself how to code. And once she taught herself how to code, she continued teaching young girls, which led her to making money to buy her own textbooks and buying textbooks for others. Now, what I want you to get from that story is, all she had was a small phone, but she imagined a greater future. She was innovative, and 3 years later, she ended up having over 10,000 students. So now I want to ask you this. Imagine we had 10 more girls like her, 100 or maybe even 1,000. That would be something to kickstart us to get to the better future that we need. This happens a lot in Zambia, where children are going to go and imagine and they'll just neglect their things. Even adults do that. But what you imagine is very important. I remember being 10 years old, sitting at my grandma's house, thinking, how can we stop this power from cutting all the time? How are we going to make a difference in this world? And once I believed that, I started thinking of machines. I didn't know how they were going to work. I didn't know how they would look. But I knew they were going to work because I believed in them. I believed in imagination. So I want to leave you with a few things before I leave. First of all, I want you to imagine with clarity, value your ideas, ask other people, look what difference it's going to make. Secondly, encourage others to imagine just like you. Once we do that, we're taking ourselves to a better place. And lastly, let's take our imaginations into action. If we're able to take our imaginations into action, then there's nothing stopping us from being the better country that we have potential to be. I want to take this time to thank my mentors, my teachers, and my parents for being able to be here. I imagined myself coming to TEDx, and it happened. And that right there is one of the reasons why I love imagination. So thank you for having me.